Well, welcome back to the Product Based Podcast. Today, we have another episode where we are interviewing some of our incredible members in Product Biz Academy. And we have Kimberly here with us today from KBella Crafts. So, welcome, Kimberly, to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Now, I want you to introduce yourself, your business, what you make, how you got started. Bring us on the journey of how your business first began.
So, KBella Crafts actually started with a tragic event that happened in our family. We had a heartbreaking loss with an 18-year-old family friend of ours, Andrea, who her life was taken from us through a violent act. And the only way that we found solace and comfort was through prayer and specifically the rosary. So with my business, when we started, since we found so much comfort in the rosary, that's the first thing that I started making was would be rosaries to hand out to people. And so K Bella Crafts is and was born from that experience, but our mission from that experience is rooted in faith, it's rooted in love, service, charity, and most importantly, the power of hope behind a tragic event like that.
That's such a beautiful story, and how you were able to take something that can be so heartbreaking and tragic and challenging and turn it into something that now probably gave yourself and family members hope during that time and now gives other people hope too. So I
Correct.
love to see that. That's so beautiful. Tell us about a couple other types of products that you make and sell.
So most of my products are based on faith and religion. So I've taken different things that are home decor and I've incorporated Bible verses and stuff into them. For example, I'm sure that people have seen like the farmhouse book stacks. And what I've done is instead of creating it from wood or from creating it from old novels, I actually have purchased Bibles and I make these book stacks out of Bibles. And people personalize them with family names or they personalize it with our love story and put their wedding date, their anniversary of their when they were asked to be engaged, and then their first date. So it's like a whole stack with their love story on it. I make wood signs with Bible verses on it, or even just love messages. So I just want to spread love. I want to make people know that there's more out there than what's going on in the world. And, you could find comfort, and hopefully they find comfort in my items.
And how did you get started? Because it sounded like the rose beads is one of the main components, but you obviously have a knack either for decor or woodwork or something. So was that a skill that you created and got better at with your business, or is that something you were doing on the side as a hobby throughout time?
I've always been very crafty. I always liked to work with wood. When I was a little girl, I remember in my dad's garage, we would go out and I would make birdhouses with him or make little planterns with him. And he's very handy. And so I learned a lot of the tool working with him. And then when I started getting into this business, I started following other people and I taught myself how to use the scroll saw. So I cut my own crosses, sand them down. And in the beginning, I was doing everything mostly by hand, like the cutting, the saw, the sanding, and then I would use vinyl. And then I incorporated the laser machine into my artwork, which has been a huge game changer for me. And it's just more elegant with the engraving of the wood. So I've been doing that as well. And so a lot of my home decor comes based from the laser.
I love it. That's awesome. Now take us back to earlier this year or even last year, before you joined PBA. What was your business like? Where were you getting sales from? What were you primarily focusing on?
So most of my business came from Instagram and it was mostly local Miami business. I spread the word through pop-ups. I would go to different marketplaces and just doing ads on Instagram, but just locally Miami crowd. So all my sales were done through Instagram DMs. So it's, hey, I'm really interested in, and that would be rosary. Can I personalize it? Yes. What would you like on it? And it was constant back and forth, which actually became time consuming as my business grew. So I needed to find a better system, more organized, how to keep my inventory, um, you know, taking orders and talking. I love talking to customers, but spending the time doing that took away from my hands-on time that I needed to create my items. So, but everything was done locally in Miami.
Were you participating in a lot of pop-ups? Like how often were you going to them or participating?
I did during the seasons. I would probably say from October to December, right before Christmas, I probably did 6 or 7 pop-ups through that
Mhm.
time, and then maybe 1 or 2 throughout the year.
Yeah. And would you see your sales decline outside of pop-ups, or were you still having your local community on social media? What did that look like?
Kind of mixture of both depending on the season. I would see through my off season, my sales did decline. And then I would have to, constantly on Instagram and hoping that somebody would see something they liked. And, every now and then I would get sales like that. But there was definitely a decline when I wasn't participating in the pop-up shops.
Hmm. And at that point in time, you were very much focusing on local Miami area. Did you want to be selling across the country, or was your mentality, let me master this first, or what were your desires back then?
No, back then I thought it was kind of like a sink or swim. Like I just needed to go. I needed to figure out how do I make this motor run. And I that's why I thought, okay, if I can make it work here in Miami, then I can branch out. So I wanted to make sure that I could sustain this in Miami and do my thing, and to make sure that my product is something that people want, because there's a lot of times that people are like, oh, well, I'm trying really hard, but I'm not making sales. I'm like, yeah, but are you making something that's wanted, or is it tangible for somebody? And so that I wanted to make sure, confirm with buyers, do people really like what I'm making?
And you got that confirmation, which is
Did.
fantastic.
I did.
Now, tell me back then, where you were also on Etsy at that point in time, and how were
I was
things
on
going?
I was on Etsy, and for 5 years I only made 35 sales on Etsy. So I was
Hmm.
like, I give up on Etsy. It's a saturated market. It's not working for me. I'm sticking to Instagram. Instagram's working for me. And I tried TikTok. It's just hard. It's hard being a creator with your items on social media and creating your items and, keeping up with that. So I knew Instagram worked with me. I just stuck with it, but I knew that there was so much more for me.
Hmm.
And then I just kept using that excuse. Oh, Etsy's just saturated. It's saturated. And I never pursued it.
Well, let's talk about what's happened since then. Because first, remind me, when did you join PBA? Was it May of this year?
It was May of this year.
Okay, May of 2025. And you're telling me that in 5 years prior, just on Etsy alone, you had 35 sales. And
35 sales.
now,
I spoke to you in May in
mhm.
2025, and you looked at my thing. I said, I'm not selling anything on Etsy. And you said, let me check it out. And you said, you have 35 sales. And I said, yes, in 5 years. And you're like, well, you do need some TLC here. I said, okay, tell me what I need to do. And
And how are things going now?
so I would say that um, from May of this year to September, I've made 135 sales on Etsy
That is
throughout the country.
incredible.
I've made 19 different states, which that's what my goal was, to get outside of Miami. So I'm in 19 states right now, and I made a sale in the UK
No
2 weeks
way.
ago. So I had to learn about global shipping, which was super interesting.
Oh my gosh, that is incredible. Because look at that, 35 sales in 5 years to 135 sales in a matter of May, June, July, August, September. We're not even through October, so 5 months.
5 months.
That is insane.
Yes.
Now, tell me what shifted. First, I want to know, you mentioned that you had the mentality that Etsy is saturated. So, how did you get over that? What shifted for you?
Actually, it was after our first I what's that first call? Like it's
Kickoff call?
the kickoff call. So after the kickoff call, I don't know, I was just excited. I was like, there's just got to be more out there. You were giving some information about Etsy and fishing us in. And I said, I just have to know more, because if my goal is to get out there and to get out of Miami and to sell throughout the country, I need to figure this out. And you made a comment and you said there's, correct me if I'm wrong, I want to say you said 8 million people on Etsy that I
There's
have
a
access
lot.
to,
Hmm.
and I'm rejecting them by not, trying, at least try. And so I went ahead and I signed up for the PBA Platinum. I went big or went home. I'm like, I'm going big or I'm going home. Like, there has to be more to this. There has to be a way for this to work. So I signed up for the PBA Platinum, and my first goal was to work on my Etsy shop. So I gave a whole makeover to my Etsy shop. Pictures of all my products. I played with my light box. I have a light box, and I played with the setup that I wanted, and I wanted to stay consistent with my look so that when people saw my product, they said, oh, that's KBella Crafts. So I didn't want it to look different, and I didn't want just a plain white background like everybody else does. So I was very particular, and I was able to incorporate a sunflower style to it, just like my logo. And so I stuck to it. And with my whole makeover of Etsy, all my new pictures, I also chose rebranding with the platinum, which was huge. I never really thought of branding. I thought I was branded. I thought, oh, I bought a logo on Etsy myself, and I thought that was branding. I had no packaging. I was shipping in mailers when I did ship, like in mailing envelopes, and call it a day. Um, so I really learned through that module, the packaging, the rebranding, the importance of it, the experience of opening the package. So implementing all of those things, and I feel like that's been the biggest game changer. And you also talk about showing up when things are slow. I have to be a CEO regardless when things are slow. I can't just say, oh, it's off season, and take my foot off the gas.
Mhm. Oh my gosh, there's so many nuggets of wisdom in there that I want to dive into. The first one I want to dive into, let's talk a little bit more about the CEO mentality and what that really means to you. So, as soon as you joined PBA, like how did you show up differently? How did you view your business differently? How did you take it more seriously? Did you get more confidence? What really shifted for you internally over the last just 6 months?
So I think that in that first week that I signed up, if I'm not mistaken, you threw out the 40-day challenge
On how to make sales
on
today?
how to make sales today. And so and I was like, I'm not doing that. I've never run a sale. Like, I'm not, my items are so, they mean so much to me, and I'm worth more than just putting something on sale. And so after like talking to the PBA community, and they're like, it really works, you should do it. What are you going to do? Sit home and not make money for the day just because of that ego, right? And it was breaking that ego. So I said, okay, let me run a sale. And so I did. I ran a sale, and I think that day I made $180 in an hour. And I said, wow, okay. So really, was it a lot of work? What loss did I take for that? I didn't really take a loss. So just doing those different things, and then I would check that one off, and I'm like, okay, next one, and I would check that one off. And you're like, Kim, put your items in all your group chats that you have. And I'm like, boom, all my group chats. I tried the Facebook like groups, but there's so many different rules to those. And if you're not careful, you're gonna step on toes. So I was like, let me stick to what I know and what works. And just doing that and checking off those sales. And I was like, okay. And you said, when a company is going slow, how does the CEO motivate their salespeople to keep going? So do they show up and say, well, today's a bad week, guys, we're just going to call it a day, everybody go home and nobody makes money? Or do they step it up, and do they motivate their employees in a different way? And that's what I did. I'm my employee. I'm like, okay, I got to be my own hype girl here. How am I going to do this? And it was through showing up with Facebook, with our community. and seeing, okay, other girls may be feeling down too. How are they pushing themselves and encouraging themselves to keep moving forward? And it's such a beautiful community, because it's like, guys, this didn't work for me. What are you guys doing? Oh, it didn't work for me either. So I tried this way. Why don't you try it? And you just work through it and you figure it out, and you just keep showing up. And that has been my motto: is today is a, it might be a bad day, it might be a good day. How am I going to show up for it? Am I going to be bitter about it, or am I going to be better about it? And I chose to be better every day. And that's been a huge shift for me, because before I would just take a whole week off of work just because it's slow season.
Mm, that's such a good takeaway. So when we run challenges like this, and the one that Kim's mentioning specifically, I love to do this challenge as soon as there's a new cohort of PBA members. It's called 40 Ways to Make Sales Today. And you get a list of over 40 different really quick action items that you can take on a daily basis. Some of them are outreach, some of them are promotions, some of them are follow-up, but just like quick action items on how you can make money. And the whole point is to encourage people to do something outside of their comfort zone, and also to constantly talk about their products and to consistently show up. So that's what I'm hearing you say exactly. It's like, all right, I had this list. If I had a day that it didn't go as intended, it didn't matter, because the next day was a new day. There was another item on this list. There was another tactic to try. So we take a little bit of the emotion out of it, because a business can be an emotional roller coaster. Absolutely. But when we start to remove the emotion and more of, okay, what am I going to do? How am I going to show up? How am I going to be consistent? How am I going to go outside of my comfort zone? And for you, it seemed like actually running a sale or a promotion was something that was uncomfortable, but finding a
Yeah.
way to move past it and be like, let me try it. Let me get a data point. Let me see if it works. So I love hearing that, like your main takeaways from that challenge, because that's the whole point of it, is how do we show up consistently? How do we show up outside of our comfort zone? How do we show up no matter how things are going? Because that is what will truly lead to the results and the incredible results that you have seen.
And let me tell you, not all of the challenges are going to go good or go bad, but you're never going to know unless you try it. And like, for example, this week, Daisy did a BOGO, and I was like, oh, I've never done a BOGO. Let me try it. I tried it, negative, but it's okay. I threw it out there. So
Mm-hmm.
you just keep trying, and you just see what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah. And that's what I love to explain PBA to people too, is it's choose your own adventure. You're going to get all of these different tools and tactics and platforms and opportunities and ways to grow your business, but it's going to be what excites you, what lights you up, and also then it's going to be testing to see what works, because different audiences react to different things, different marketing styles, different products react to different platforms, to different promotional strategies. So exactly like what you said. But that's the beauty of it, is like you get to test and see and figure out what lands with your audience. And once you start to know what lands with your audience, then it'll just continue to grow and grow and grow from there.
Right.
So tell me a little bit more about, let's talk about the branding, because that was something that you mentioned was a great experience. You worked with Kendra, who's on our brand design team. And one thing that you get when you enroll in PBA Platinum is a professional rebrand. So I love how you said you had a logo that you bought yourself on Etsy, and then went through this rebrand process and now have a fully flushed brand that connects with your audience, that connects with you. So can you just talk to us about that experience, what it was like?
Yes, well, the whole experience was the way that I explain it to people. It was like going on a spiritual retreat and digging deep into who you are and why you created this company. Um, in order for Kendra to know what what she's going to do for your rebranding, how does she know you? And so, how does she know your clients? How does she know your customers? How does she know what they want? And that whole experience was eye opening for me to realize who my customers really are, and who my audience is, and how I'm going to target them, and what message I'm going to get across to them. Um, and when I started the whole questionnaire and everything, I told Kendra, the only thing that is a requirement, you do what you want with it. The only thing is a requirement, it has to incorporate a sunflower. And so she did, and she nailed it. When she showed me the reveal, I was just taken back by why she chose the colors that she chose for my logo and for my company, why she chose the fonts. Just everything was done with such class and such grace that there was nothing that I didn't have to change anything. And I remember when I showed the vision board to my husband and to my daughter's the one that started the business with me. They were like, "No, it's not a sunflower. It's too abstract. It's not, I don't like it. It's not us." And I'm like, "Give it a chance, guys. It's really pretty. It looks really nice." And they were just so attached to the original logo. And so now when my husband sees the whole package, right? I know that when I get an Etsy sale, I'm so excited, number one, to make their item, but number two, to package it, because I got the box and I stamped my logo and I stamped tissue paper and I bought ribbon and I bought my tape for the outside of the box. And it just looks so gorgeous. Like, I'm so happy with it. And I'm like, if I'm happy with it and I see it all the time, I can only imagine my customers when they're getting this and how they want to open it and look at it and get that experience also. And my husband laughs because I'm always taking it to him. I'm like, "Look how beautiful this package looks, you know?" And he's like, "Wow, I can't believe how beautiful and how classy it looks." And I didn't think so in the beginning, but now when you see it all together, it does look absolutely stunning.
That's a very common thing that happens with the rebrand. A lot of people, especially when they're contemplating to join PBA Platinum or not, but oh my gosh, I love my current branding. And how am I going to move away from this? And I always tell people, I'm like, trust the
The process.
process. Because every single person who's gone through the rebrand process says, this is exactly what I wanted my business to look like. I just didn't know how to bring it to life. I didn't know how to bring this complete vision to fruition for my business. And I always tell people, like, you can always keep your old logo afterwards if you want to. And I don't think there's one person who has done that, even if they were so attached to their old logo before. So
Right.
I love hearing that from you because it is such an up level. Did it give you confidence too? Would you say it gave you that boost?
Yes, absolutely. And what I love about it is I've been able to incorporate it into so many different aspects of, you know, she made specific highlight logos for me with just the sunflower. And I'm like, I could do more with this. Like, I don't have to just use this for my highlight buttons. I can actually create posts with them. And I've done that. And it looks flawless. It looks so beautiful. It looks so soothing. It looks very classy. And when I go to my Instagram page or my website now, which my website's not 100% done yet, but it just looks so much it looks so professional compared to what I had, you
Hmm.
know, and
That's
tying everything together.
Now tell me a little bit more about Etsy and just your business in general, because I swear I saw something in our Facebook community that you said in October alone, you made more than you did in the past time period. Can you share that with us?
Okay, so do you want me to share October's number or like May to September?
Whatever you want to share.
Okay, I'm gonna do May to September just to show the overall um, numbers. So in 2024, prior to PBA, I made from May to September of 2024, $5,087. That is my very slow months. Summers, I would take them completely off. I would not work at all in the summer. So changed the tune to now joining PBA right before summer, which was phenomenal, right? I thought it was, oh, this is my slow month. It's perfect for me to do all the modules, which I still haven't done yet. Do all the modules, do all my rebranding, do my website right before my peak season, and it'll work out. Well, it worked so well. I didn't have a slow month. I didn't have a slow summer because I kept showing up, like you said, showing up and offering sales or just constantly posting on Instagram, which I've always done. But again, in the summer, I just took the foot off the gas. And if I posted once a day, it was fine. But I just stayed consistent this time around. And my sales after PBA joining from May to now of 2025 are $12,269. So
Oh
I
my
doubled
gosh.
my average sales in my slow months. So those are my slow months and I doubled them. I can only imagine my fourth quarter, what it's going to look like. I'm so excited about that.
Oh my
I can't
gosh.
wait.
That is incredible. More
I
than
can't wait.
double. That is
More than
absolutely
double.
incredible.
Yeah.
Wow. And yeah, I think you were on this call. There was a group call that we did where we were talking about, oh, what are the current thoughts in our head? And everyone was like, oh, summer is slow. Summer is slow.
Yes.
And I went through this exercise that showed if we have the thought and belief that summer is slow, how are we going to show up? Well,
Slow.
naturally, we're going to take our foot off the gas and we're not going to be excited about our business and we're not going to even try. And of course, then the sales are going to be slow. So on that call, I challenged everyone. I'm like, who says summer has to be slow? Who says you have to believe that? Who says you have to buy into that? Like, why? Why are we thinking that? Is that going to actually help our business or is that going to hurt our business? And I love hearing you say that I joined PBA assuming it was going to be my slow months and I could watch all the modules. And I know you're really focused on the Etsy ones, which is fantastic. And that pushed your business so much that you didn't have a slow month. You didn't have a slow summer. That is so incredible to hear.
And it was that call that taught me that, because I'm like, oh my God, she's right. Like, I'm the one that's creating the slow time. It's me. It's not, my customers are still buying things. They're buying somewhere else. So I have to show up for them. And so I did that. And then I remember in one of the calls too, you're like, Kim, it's going to be about, you're going to have to do 90 days of Etsy. I'm like, it's not going to take me 90 days. It's slow. I'm going to do it in 30. No, it took me 90 days. So I had to trust the process and I had to slow down and I had to realize it's not going to get all done in one day, because I still needed to, budget my time between that and my work. And this is my full-time job. I'm a retired teacher. I'm a flexible mom running around between high school and volleyball practice. So, some people, I think somebody asked, when do you guys listen to the modules? And I said, in the parking lot at practice for an hour and a half, or inside the gym, take my earbuds, and I'm taking notes, and you have to make the time. And if you don't make it a priority, you're never going to get it done.
Mhm.
Um, and so that's also the big thing. And I know a lot of people are like, yeah, but I want to join, but I don't have the time to watch the modules. Well, you don't have the time to go to the gym either if you don't make it, so you gotta make it your priority that this is what you want to do and go with it.
Yeah, and that's the other thing that I mentioned too on this topic is when people say they don't have the time, I'm like, it's going to take you a lot more time to figure it out yourself, to read blog posts, to listen to podcasts, to read books, to look on Google, to ask ChatGPT, to figure out what's right, to figure out what's wrong, to trial and error. Like, that's still taking time. And you can condense that time in half, if not more than that, by just getting a plan and executing it completely, which is what you did with your Etsy shop. And you're seeing this growth and you're more than doubling your sales, which is the fun part of getting a little bit of a shortcut.
And and the community within itself, right? I remember this week, I believe this question came up that one of our girls was saying that she's having a hard time with offering the free shipping on Etsy, right? So I did too. And that's why my Etsy, hence my 35 sales in 5 years. I never ran ads. I just didn't do the things that I thought were necessary. And, the main thing was, how am I going to stand out against my competitors? Yes, it could be saturated, but how I'm going to make my shop more attractive and my purchase more attractive to that consumer and to that buyer than my next door neighbor. And that's what your goal is for us. That's what you teach us. What are those tips and those hacks? And you walk us through it. And not only do you walk us through it, you offer templates. We can use them or we can create our own. But I love Canva. I use Canva all the time for my own work. So it was just, why recreate the wheel? And why sit and search on Google for things that is going to take double the time of just listening to a podcast or listening to a module?
Yeah, absolutely. And you're proof of that, which is so
Yes.
fun to see.
Yeah.
Okay, well, answer this question for me because another big part of PBA is there's, like we talked about earlier, a lot of different modules, a lot of different platforms, and I recommend people to really focus in on one for at least 90 days because there's going to be some trial and error that's still involved with what you learn, but there's also just going to be the time that it takes for those things to really get the attention they deserve. So you really focused in on Etsy, you focused in on social media. I want to hear from you, like what's next for you? What are you excited about for Q4? What are you excited about for 2026? What's happening?
So I did start tapping into the wholesale.
Hmm.
I tapped into the wholesale. I created my wholesale sheet with the template that you provided. And I started that. I started sending emails. I thought, my mom also works with me. She's very limited with her hands right now. So I'm like, perfect. The emailing thing for her, I can have her in charge of that. We have not been successful in it, but I feel like I haven't been able to really focus on that yet. So my goal is in the next upcoming year is to really focus on that, like I did Etsy.
Yeah.
And then move forward with possibly getting my items into stores. I did have a store rental that I did earlier in the year. It didn't work out because of maintenance issues. My product was getting ruined. I had mold on my wood. My wood was warping. So we decided not to re-sign the lease with them because of that. So I am looking to possibly getting another store rental, maybe in January. I'm going to look into that. But my focus now is just really pushing the online, getting my website better, traffic to my website as well. Um, those are my goals right now, to continue growing throughout the United States, not just locally.
Yeah, and more international
And
too.
more into, yes,
Yes, I
yes.
love it. Well, the
Um,
wholesale, oh yeah, go ahead.
that my, for example, I was telling you last year I did, I believe, 8 to 10 pop-ups. This year I'm two. You will see me
Mm,
at two events this year, and that's it.
how good does that feel?
Yeah. I'm hoping I won't regret that, but
You won't,
I
trust
don't think
me.
I will, because based on my numbers, I don't think I'm going to regret it. So,
No, not at all. Plus the peace that you're going to have, more family time, like you will not regret that. I don't think there's one person in PBA. That's another hard thing.
right.
Reducing the markets, saying no to the markets. That's a hard, really hard thing for a lot of people when they first join PBA. But that's another thing where I don't know of one person who's ever regretted reducing the number of markets that they've done.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of having like FOMO, because when you're there, you do enjoy it with your vendor friends that you create, right? But I just keep in touch with them through social media. Hey, how you going? How you doing? Are any say like what's working for you, what's not? So I keep, conversation through Instagram with them. But I said, if I'll never know unless I try it. And so there's two events that I know are for sure, like hands down, they're gonna make me in the first hour, I'll make a whole month's worth of salary, and it's of course worth it. But there's some that you're barely scratching the surface and getting your money back that you put into it. And the time, not to say that you put into it prior, and the setup. And so I just said it's not really worth it to continue that route, and to more push my Etsy, get, maybe run some more ads on Etsy, or pushing items through there. To me, that I think is going to be worth it, especially because a lot of my items are personalized. I can't personalize on the spot at a market. So I got to take their order, come home, and then do it. So it's
Yeah,
kind of double the
absolutely.
work doing that sometimes.
Yeah, and that's a smart CEO decision, like we talked about earlier, of
Correct.
sometimes we have to make some trade-offs, but that's putting the CEO hat on and saying, okay, what's going to be better for my business, the longevity of my business, where can I focus, where can I free up my time? And I love how you mentioned wholesale too. So I love thinking of that being a major project for you in 2026, like early
Yes.
2026. Because a lot that will happen, especially with reaching out to wholesale during end of Q3, Q4 timeframe, is a lot of retailers have potentially already bought for the holidays, the fall going into the holidays, so it's tougher traction-wise, but I'm excited for you for 2026 to pick that up. I'm excited for you to keep crushing Etsy social media for the rest of this year in Q4. I can't wait to see your holiday sales. I mean, if you've already more than doubled in your slow months, let's
Yes,
see what happens the rest of this year. It's an awesome, awesome, awesome place to be.
exactly. I'm excited. I can't wait.
Now, let me ask you one more question before we get, all your details and where people can find you. What would you say to someone who's on the fence of joining PBA?
If you're on the fence. So I was on the fence first financially. And I thought, okay, I love how you give us the opportunity if we do decide to sign up where we can pay monthly or you could pay the whole year. I believe I chose to pay monthly and I looked at it as okay, my monthly fee would cost me one pop-up shop a month. So can I take that hit? Yes, I can take that hit because like I said, coming into this, my goal was to grow big. And in order to grow big, I'm going to have to invest in myself. Um, I'm going to have people pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to go to college to invest in themselves for their future salaries. So I thought that your cost with the academy was very reasonable to grow the way that I have. I've already made my money back. Like if I look at it that way, my doubled sales in the 5 months, I've already paid off PBA. That's how I could look at it. Um, I was fortunate enough that when my mom found out that I was doing this, she wanted to somehow support my business. She's very supportive and she says, "Can I please sponsor you?" And I was like, "Sure." I'm not going to turn that down. So maybe you have somebody that wants to invest in you. If you can't afford it, honestly, and you can't take that monthly hit, maybe there's somebody in your community or somebody in around you or family member that's willing to invest in you and at least let you borrow the money and then you pay them back without interest or something. So I think I think financially should not be a reason for you to stop you from joining and to moving forward because I really do think that the growth has been very evident. And if I can do it, that I thought my woodwork and to be honest with you, I'm in religion. My niche is so small and I was nervous about that. I'm like, really, if you compare religion, artifacts and items compared to cussing words and sex, this sells really well compared to mine. But if I'm doing good with what I'm putting in, I think anybody is able to pursue it and do it as well. So if you are on the fence, I think financially should not be your reason. And if time is your reason, you will find the time to figure it out. If your kids are at practice and you're sitting there chatting with friends, use that time instead to be learning with your AirPods on. So there's always different ways to go around doing it. I trust in this process. I believed in it. I remember a friend of mine when I reached out to her, I said, "I'm thinking about doing this program. What do you think?" And she told me first thing, she goes, "Jump onto her podcast and make sure that you could tolerate her personality." And when you said your first cuss word, I'm like, she's my love language. I love it. I'm on. And so I just like that you're raw, you're real, your emotions are you understand us. And I've learned so much from that. And so I think that you just have so many nuggets to give us all the time. And those monthly calls are just absolutely a necessity for me. You just had on, oh my God, I forgot her name, that taught us about the gift guides. I've been
Gloria.
emailing
Mhm.
constantly emailing. I sent out a sample box. I would have never done that if I wasn't on that coaching call. So, and Kendra even asked me, let me see a picture of your, I think it was Kendra. Maybe it wasn't Kendra. Let me see a picture of your sample box you sent. And then, I put it on Facebook. So it's awesome. Awesome.
Oh, well, it's been so incredible having you part of PBA. So amazing to just see you take off and fly and to see the dedication, the passion that you have for your business, for yourself, for really turning this business into, like you said, that big dream that you have. So you are the perfect type of member Like
Yeah.
you trust the process, you do the work, and that's all someone has to do to see results. So it's really, really simple. So
Yes.
simple. And
Yeah.
it's been amazing to see that happen for you. And I can't wait to see what happens in Q4. Can't wait to see what happens in 2026. So thank you, Kimberly. I want to make sure that you share with us your website, your social media handles, so people can see what you make, see, and stay in tune with what you're up to.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. It's been an honor and a privilege to be a part of this community, and I'm blessed that I've been able to find it. My Instagram page is KBella_crafts, and my website is kbellacrafts.net.
Do you want to share your Etsy shop too?
Oh, my Etsy shop is KBella Crafts Shop.
Okay, beautiful. So people can find you, see your products, stay up to date with everything that you're up to. So thank you, Kim. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank
And
you for
thank you
having me.
for listening to this episode of the Product Biz Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.